welcome to the first ever episode of ISLA La Land. I'm Kiana Palacios and I'll be your host for today's episode. I'd like to welcome everyone who's watching us live tonight. I hope that you're all having a great evening and thank you so much for joining us for the launch of this project. I'd also like to say hello to everyone who might be rewatching and listening to this episode on YouTube and Spotify. Thank you so much for your support and for joining us. So I'd also like to let our audience know, the ones who are watching us today, that we will be engaging with you guys throughout the entirety of this episode. So feel free to leave questions, comments, anything in the comment section, and we might read them out or answer them later on. So before we begin, I'd just like to give a quick introduction to what ISLA La Land is all about. So since this is the first ever episode. So ISLA La Land is a project under the International Student Leaders and Ambassadors Program, or ISLA, under the City of Sydney. And this project is all about highlighting the international student experience and creating a community for all of you, especially during times such as this. We hope that our episodes make you smile and maybe make you feel a little bit less lonely by providing you guys with fun content as well as inspiring ones too. We hope we have a lot of things in store for you, so stay tuned and we hope to see you in our future episodes as well. So, on to today's episode. Our topic for tonight is actually divided into two, and I think it's honestly a very timely episode given, the circumstances. So now I'd like to invite our guests today to introduce themselves. So, hi guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Did you guys introduce yourselves? Eric, you can go first.
So hi everyone, my name is Eric. I'm from China. I'm currently studying Bachelor of Commerce in the University of New South Wales. I'm a student, and I'm happy to be here. And I will just say hi in my language. 你好, 你好吗? That means hi and how are you?
你好, Eric. So, Mohit, you want to go next?
Sure thing. Hello, everyone. My name is Mohit, as Kiana just mentioned. So I am a final semester Bachelor of Software Engineering student, currently studying at the University of Technology, Sydney. Massive thanks to Kiana and the team for making my lifelong dream of appearing on a podcast come true, finally. So I was born in Portside, Egypt. I grew up in India and in Sydney now, so it's been quite a journey. And I guess a word or a phrase in my language in Hindi would be namaste, which basically means hello.
Namaste, Mohit. Thank you for joining us today. Menghan.
Hi everyone, my name is Menghan. I'm studying Bachelor of Commerce and majoring in Finance and Business Analytics of University of Sydney. I'm from China as well, so I'm going to say a greeting sentence in Chinese. 大家晚上好. Which means good evening, everyone. I'm really glad to be the guest for our first episode of ISLA La Land, and I hope what we shared can help everyone know more about the university life in Australia.
Yay, thank you. And lastly, Michael.
Hi, everyone. And I'm Michael, and first-year student in University of Sydney. I'm from China as well, and majoring data science and business analytics. And there are no more greetings in Chinese. So yeah, they most cover that, but I'm really happy to be here to share my experience with you. Thank you.
So, but before anything else, I'd actually like to ask Eric to do the Acknowledgement of Country. So this is something that we do in Australia to pay respects to the traditional custodians of the lands of Australia. So Eric, please start.
Yep. Thank you, Kiana. So I begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay my respect to the elders past and present and emerging. I extend my respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today.
So, yay, thank you. Now that we have all the formalities done, we can begin our episode. So now that I know that all of you guys and probably almost everybody watching us right now are currently in lockdown or at home because of the current pandemic. So I'd like to just ask you guys, how are you guys holding up? Like, maybe just like we'll go around the room and then just say like a phrase or a word to describe how you're feeling right now during the lockdown. So this time I'll start with Michael, move backwards.
Since the lockdown, I learned some cooking skills. Like I can cook more dishes than before, and also start reading more books in my spare time, which is improve myself. I think I quite enjoy it. And also we're back to online study, but I can find my own pace, so it's okay for me right now. Yeah.
Stay tuned for a cooking show with Michael soon. How about Menghan?
Yeah, I'm currently living in China now, and pandemic situation is good in China, so I'm not experiencing the lockdown right now. But in the last year, at the height of the pandemic, I almost stay at home every day, as you guys are experiencing now. And that was the first semester of my uni, so everything was new for me. But what I can do is only stay at home and watch the recordings every day. So during that time, I feel really depressed and isolated. But this year, the things get better when the pandemic situation gets better in China. So this year, I got a chance to go out with my friends and go out for dinner, go to the gym, and do some internships. So I hope everything will get better soon in Sydney.
Good for you guys in China. Eric. Oh, sorry, Mohit. Eric.
All right, I can go. Yeah, firstly, I'd like to acknowledge that Michael's cooking skills are through the roof. So if he plans on starting his cooking shows at some point, I'll be attending, that's for sure. But in terms of how I'm holding up during lockdown, I guess I'm trying to take a more positive approach to how things have been recently. Just having structure to my days in terms of exercising, cooking, as Michael mentioned, reading is an important one as well, keeps your brain sharp at all times. And just staying in touch with people, your friends, your family members. I think that's one of the most important things during lockdown as well. So yeah, it's been going pretty okay so far. Pass it over to Eric.
Yeah, so my experience is that because I was still studying during the lockdown period, so I don't have much to share, but I like to watch TV shows and movies that help me to kind of kill the time. So that's like big time waster for me during the lockdown. But I totally agree with Mohit. You should get in touch with your family because they're your biggest supporters behind the scenes. So whenever you have any troubles or problems, go talk to them and they will help you along the way. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you guys for that. And you guys, a lot of you mentioned online studying, which is actually, I feel like the crux of our discussion for today. So I know that Eric, Mohit, and Michael were able to experience face-to-face classes, at least for one semester, a couple of months, while Menghan and I both started entirely offshore. So to start off our discussion, just for the people who are currently offshore as well, or maybe those who are considering to study in Australia, I'd like to start with discussing what you guys think are the pros and cons to studying online. So we can start with all the serious stuff and go to the fun stuff later on. So let's start with the cons first. So who would like to start? Mohit?
Sure. So yeah, I guess as you mentioned, studying online, working online has its advantages, has its disadvantages. So I guess one thing about online sessions would be obviously the lack of physical contact. I think that's one of the most important things as a university student. It kind of motivates you to keep going, having that personal communication as well when you're actually meeting up with people. That's definitely one thing that we'll be missing out on as well in online sessions. And another thing would be physically attending lectures as well, because if you see a room full of students, a room full of friends, if you see them studying and focusing and paying attention and stuff, that kind of really helps you to engage as well. Your concentration and your focus spans increase as well. But in online sessions, I think it's quite universal that our attention spans can be quite limited. So every few minutes you might want to just turn your video off and stand up and go for a walk or something. So I guess, yeah, definitely one of the main disadvantages would be limited attention spans, I guess. Just like connection as well. But yeah, if someone else wants to add on to that as well.
I want to add, I think I totally agree with what Mo had just discussed. And in addition to what he mentioned, I think during the online classes, we don't have much chances to build our communication skills. I think developing the communication skills is really important. We go to the college not only for learning the academic knowledge, but also we want to build our soft skills that can be used for our future career. Due to the lack of face-to-face communications with our peers in the online classes, we might find it's hard to work effectively in a team setting. So I think that is a really big problem because when we enter our workplace, we always need to work in a team. So I think it is one of the cons of the learning remotely.
Yeah, I really agree with what both of you guys said, especially like for those who are, starting off completely online, like Menghan and I did. It's really hard to, you don't really get that university experience that you've been looking forward to. So our only hope is that one day, maybe one day. But now that we're done with the cons, let's go on to the pros now so that we can keep going with our happy energy to the rest of this conversation. So Eric or Michael, either one of you can start.
Yeah, I can. So I think one thing good about online study is it's pretty informal. So like behind your chair, sitting behind your table, you can just grab a snack and eating while listening to your tutor talking about the content. So I mean that's not necessarily good because it gives you like a bad habit, but I think it's quite relaxing and compared to when you actually go to class, when you take notes and stuff. It can be really stressful, especially for first year students because there's a lot of content to cover. And also, I mean, you can never be late for online class, right? You can just wake up 5 minutes before the class starts and log in and go to your Zoom and open your camera and maybe even close your camera, wear a pajama, like no one will find out. So I think that can be one of the good things, at least for me, that you'll never be late for class. Yeah, Michael, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And also, like, as long as you don't procrastinate, you can just catch up lectures and tutorials quickly. Like, even though you didn't attend any like lectures or tutorials, you can watch recordings and even double speed. It saves you time and you can put more time on your own stuff. And for me, during the online study, it's actually improved my sleeping quality, quite improved, because every time I have breaks, like 1 to 2 hours break, I want to take nap. So I can get enough sleep before the next lecture or tutorial. And during nighttime, I can spend much time on my study, and then I can go to bed whenever I want. That's awesome for me. Yeah.
Can I just add something to that as well in terms of like what I've found being a massive advantage of studying online as well? Because I've been fortunate enough to study the best part of 3 years or so in person. So I guess comparing those sessions with what I'm experiencing right now would be that you have a lot of time to kind of engage in your hobbies, which you wouldn't have otherwise if you were actually going on campus. So it saves you a lot of time in terms of traveling and whatnot. So like, as all of you mentioned, you've been engaging in all these different hobbies during lockdown or learning new skills like cooking and stuff. So, studying online definitely gives you that time to really engage in those things. So that's definitely a massive advantage as well.
Yes. So thank you so much for that. I totally agree with everything that you guys have said. But Mohit, you brought up hobbies. So are there any hobbies in particular that you've developed during lockdown or during like online studying?
Well, I guess we've already mentioned this 5,000 times already in the 10 minutes of this podcast, which is cooking. But yeah, so that is something that I've really been extensively practicing, I guess. I'm not going to say my cooking is like Gordon Ramsay level, but it's edible. I think that's the most important thing. As long as you can eat it and you're not going to fall in any trouble after eating it, that's totally fine. It's okay in my book. But apart from that, like, I've been spending a lot of time in exercising, learning my instruments as well, because I'm a lot into music as well. So doing that stuff and yeah, pretty much that. And really just having structure to my daily routine, really. That's, I think, that's one of the most important things, during a lockdown. So yeah.
It really seems like we have a lot of chefs and musicians. You're gonna have a cooking show and a jamming session. ISLA La Land episode very soon.
We need that.
Yeah, stay updated for that. But I also just like to ask, because online study isn't easy, as you guys mentioned. There are a lot of things like procrastination and all the distractions and all of that. And you've also mentioned things about being structured with your daily routines and like doing your uni work. So I was just wondering if you guys have any tips or any like hacks maybe to online studying to make it a little bit more efficient, or to basically just absorb the knowledge, because as you guys also mentioned earlier, it's a lot harder to concentrate and learn when you're on your own. So yeah, who wants to go first? Menghan or Michael?
Yeah, I can go first. Yeah.
Okay, and then
Menghan. So my first tip is you just put yourself into a daily routine, like what time. Not every day. You don't set too many tasks to complete every day. Which, for example, I had to complete an exercise from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Just this routine, and you set it every day, and then you just complete every day, and you just put every other stuff at any other time. So it depends on your study, depends on your anything happen during the day. So yeah, it's a way to make you get a habit, and then day by day you can make more stuff as a daily routine for you. Yes, another tip is like how to be not distracted. From my experience, the notification on your laptop is always on the right top corner. So you can put a sticker, like you want what task you want to complete in that day, and you write on the sticker and stick it on the laptop so that you can hide the notification and you won't be distracted anyway.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I feel like I do that. Like I put my phone on airplane mode just to like make sure I don't get any notifs or be tempted to open my like social media accounts. But are there any other tips that you guys have? Menghan?
Yeah, I agree with what Michael just mentioned. I think time management is really important. You can't wait till the last minute to finish all your assignments. So what I do is I create a weekly schedule, and I make sure I will follow the schedule every week. And I will check the assignments, the due date, to arrange my time reasonably. So I usually start my assignment as soon as it is out. For example, for my finance class, we usually need to write many papers. So there are maybe some parts that lectures have not covered yet when it is out, but I usually start to write the first paragraph. It can like encourage me to finish the assignment early. So do not keep putting things off until the last day. That is my tip.
Okay. Very timely. I actually have an essay due on Tuesday that I have not started. Obviously that is what you should not do. But does Eric or Mohit have any other tips to add?
No, I was just going to say, Kiana, we all know that you have some really good study tips in terms of the online tools that you use to keep yourself organized and stay on top of everything. So I guess it would be very fitting to hear from you as well in terms of what those tips
What do you
be.
mean we all know? What are your references? You mean your citations?
I don't know. Uh-huh. You may have mentioned Notion once or twice. I don't know. Just putting it out there.
Okay, sure. I think like Michael and Menghan gave really good points as well. Like I try to stay organized, like to set my deadlines in advance, but sometimes it's really hard to do that when you're, on your own and you're at home. But I guess another tip that I'd say is know specifically, you have to know yourself really well. Like know your study style, like what are the things that help you absorb knowledge faster, or what methods work best for you. So it's really just a trial and error thing. Like you could have like study sessions with your friends. I actually recommend doing that. Like for me personally, it's helped a lot with keeping myself accountable because I know that someone can see me. Like if I'm not on my phone, I know that someone could like just see my screen and be like, why aren't you studying? Which reminds me, we actually have a Discord channel for ISLA, and we sometimes go on there to study. So if you guys are an international student in Sydney or in Australia, you guys can join the Discord as well. We'll be really putting the link out too in the comments. But yeah, Notion. That's basically just I feel like it's just a normal organizational tool. For my team in ISLA personally, we've used it a lot for project management. And since all our guests seemingly come from my team, what do you guys, has it been helpful in organization? Like the work, I know Menghan uses it for school now too. She told me.
Yeah, I think.
Whoa, sorry. This is like, this is what happens, like work from home. Sorry, cannot be avoided.
This is what happens. Like you're focusing on a lecture and then there's like a truck honking and then your focus is gone. So
you're like, who's that truck? Where is that coming from? I wonder, is it the garbage man or like the mailman? Like, never know. But Menghan, sorry.
I think, yeah, as you mentioned, the Notion is a really useful tool. I usually use it to plan my calendar and put all the tasks in the calendar, and I just tick it when I finish it. So it's really like efficient to plan my week.
Yes. We love Notion. And it's free too. If you guys use your student emails, you guys get the personal pro account for free. We love free stuff. So does anyone else have any more tips to add? Eric or Mohit?
I think I really liked your study session approach because I tried it with my friends as well. Like it's really effective. But it might come up with a little problem though. Like what happens if all your friends want to game? Like they'll be like, oh, should we game? And everyone else will be like, okay, we just ditch the study session altogether.
No, or you could use that as like an incentive. Like if we finish like a task, then we can game.
Yeah, exactly.
Reward system.
Yeah. Like online study doesn't have to be like boring or lame. Like it can also be fun. Like as long as you use the right approach. I think one other thing I might say is like if you don't trust yourself, maybe go to your library. I know Michael does that as well. So if you go to your library, find a quiet space and like lock yourself in your room. Oh, but don't do it right now in Sydney. But like, I mean, if it's safe in somewhere else in your country, do it and just give yourself that study atmosphere, and you'll not easily get distracted. Because I have tried this before. Because like when you see other people studying and working hard, you feel guilty if you're not like working as hard as them. So like the kind of atmosphere motivates you to like study harder. So I think that can be one of my tips. Yeah.
Or a cafe.
No, I was gonna say that's a really good point actually. But just to play devil's advocate as well, the rewarding system can go wrong sometimes as well. It's like you study for 2 minutes and then you game for the next 15 hours, and then before you know it, the birds are chirping in the morning.
You would definitely know about that.
So yeah. That's just one thing you need to be on the lookout for.
It really tests your self-discipline, and I think that that's something that once you get the hang of it, could be really helpful once you start working, or even in the future, like when you're actually in like Sydney or on campus again. So yeah, thank you guys so much for your tips. They were very helpful. Maybe you guys could adopt some of them as well to your own study routines. So now we're gonna keep going on with this very fun discussion, and I'm actually very curious because This just happened to me like recently, but do you guys have any fun stories of online study? So like maybe someone's phone went off during class, or maybe someone's pet just appeared on the screen. Something happened to me yesterday actually, but I'm gonna let you guys share first before I share mine. Do you guys have it?
Yeah, there's one happened during a lecture, and it was a 2-hour lecture, and the lecturer just dropped out the session by accident, probably because of the internet issue. And then the student become the host, and then the student just turn on the video and said, okay, let's play games. So they started a cohort game, and just one day want to start, the lecturer come back, and everyone it was so disappointed.
Oh, that's fun actually. I feel like I've had several teachers drop out of class because of the internet, and then we'd all just be sitting there, like nobody would even bother to take initiative. So yeah, I see why some of you guys might have been disappointed. How about Mohit, Menghan, or Eric? Do you guys have any fun stories?
Eric, go for it.
Okay, so this fun story happened earlier this year. I did French unit in my university, and during the speaking session, there's a guy who used Google Translate, and he clicked he used English Translate to French, and he clicked the play and pretend he is the guy speaking. And a teacher is like, what are you saying? It doesn't make sense. And he was like, oh, okay, let me quick change the translation. And suddenly he like turned on the camera, and like we all saw he's like typing and using his laptop. We're like, oh, okay. And then teacher's like, well, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, sorry, I'm using Google Translation to do the speaking session. And we are like, it's like so funny. Yeah, but like it's just like people were like kind of getting lazy and just using computer to do the task for them. Yeah.
Okay, but can't you tell though that it's Google Translate? Like there's a very automated voice.
Computerized voice, right?
Yeah.
Yes. That's why like we don't even know what's he thinking, but he just tried it. Like might as well. So it was like, yeah, why not? Maybe because it's not assessment, so he's like, maybe I can like stick it through.
It's like I'm sorry, Eric, but you sound very much like Siri.
Yeah.
How would that sound? It'd be like bonjour. Je t'aime? Like
yeah, exactly. And we're like, are you a robot or anything?
Yeah. I am, yes.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm so tired that this is my voice now. Menghan, I saw you unmuted a while ago. Do you have a story?
Yeah, the story I want to share also happens in my French class. So in my French class last semester, one of our classmates, he studied music performance at university. So he can play the piano. So in the last class of the semester, we had a small virtual concert for him. While he played the piano, another boy sings along with him, like through the Zoom. So I think that performance is really harmonious and really impressive, because even in this difficult time for most of us, we still have such a memorable and romantic moment in the class. So
yeah,
that's lovely. That's so cute.
That's a wholesome thing. Like that's not embarrassing or funny. That's
so good. I wish I had my classmates like that. They didn't try anything like that. They would be like, oh, you don't speak good enough French, get out of my class. It's so competitive.
Yeah. Before I share mine, Mohit, do you have any fun stories?
Not really, but I think in the earlier part of like the pandemic, in the initial stages when Zoom really started becoming popular, we had this thing called Zoom bombing, where obviously the links of lectures and stuff used to be shared with like people outside the university, and then like random people would just drop into the sessions and then really create chaos, right? Just like unmute themselves, start talking gibberish and stuff. But yeah, that was a long time back. Ever since then, the security is a lot more, I don't know, tight, I guess, in that sense. But yeah, there's that odd instance of people being unmuted and they don't know they're unmuted, and then they're having an argument with someone in their house. So it's funny to eavesdrop and listen to that stuff. but yeah, I think as time has passed by, I really appreciate how lecturers and tutors and everyone, they've really developed engaging strategies to basically engage people online. I know it can be very challenging with people, with their videos off and the microphones turned off and stuff. So things like one of my lecturers would have this thing where we'd have like a weekly virtual background competition. So it's like whoever would have the best one wins this and stuff. So I guess it's a nice incentive to get people turn up for online sessions as well.
So who won the competition?
Did
Well,
you win
What
one?
background do you use?
I can say for sure that I never won it because my backgrounds are always plain boring. But yeah, I've had like backgrounds of, if anyone's watched The Office, it's, when they have those talking heads, those scenes over there. So I've had one of those before. But yeah, not anything unique or creative or original at all. So safe to say I never really won one of those competitions, but sometime in the future for sure.
That's so fun. Yeah. The most my class probably is done is like Kahoot. I feel like everyone loves Kahoot. But even when we play it, you can see it in our faces. We're all so dead. Like we all just be like, yeah. But I actually have a funny story, pretty similar to the whole unmuting with the argument. But then this wasn't the one that happened yesterday. But I was in class, and then some guy just unmuted out of nowhere, and then he just said, "Hi, my name is this. How are you going?" And then my teacher was like, "Can you like mute yourself? Like whoever you are, like go on mute." And then he was like, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" So my teacher was like, "Yes, we can hear you." And then he goes, "Oh, sweet. So mate, how you going? Like, what are you doing later?" Like, I mean, we thought he was asking us if we could hear him, but he was actually talking on the phone, and that was so funny. Everyone was trying so hard not to laugh because the teacher was so done. She was like, "I'll just mute him myself." Okay. Anyways, back to the lesson. That was probably like the funniest one.
Yeah, it's like the person goes, "Can you hear me?" And the lecturer's like, "We can't hear you, but we're not supposed to hear you. So put your microphone off." It's like
Yeah. The one yesterday was really funny though because I was asking a question, so I was on mute, and then I clicked some button or something, but then music started playing, and it was a very. Is it what?
I know what
one of
Eric's
your
question is. I know what Eric's
K-pop
question is.
music? Is that one of your K-pop songs? Or?
It was Kitchen Beat by NCT, but then it was like a random song because I didn't click it. Like my Spotify wasn't even opened, and then I clicked the button, and then that song sounds like in the kitchen when you're hitting the pans. Like the beginning of the song was like that.
What?
Do you want me to play it? But it's really like okay, fine. I'll like play it on my phone.
Surprise.
Maybe just like a few seconds, not too long. I don't think that's.
Yeah. I'll just play the beginning, like what came out, and then my face literally went like, because I was trying so hard to like stop it, but then it just kept replaying. So it was so bad. I was so embarrassed. Everyone was just sitting there. This is the beginning.
You should join my class. You'll bring so much fun.
This is the beginning. You hear that? Did you hear it? Did you hear it?
Yeah.
It was very like
Sort
hitting
of, yeah.
table, like things like that. Wow, that was so embarrassing. I did not even bother asking if they heard it. Like I just muted. But my teacher asked if he answered my question. I didn't even unmute. I just nodded.
The panic is real when something like that happens, when you're unmuted and then like some kind of sound appears out of nowhere, like, oh my God, now I need to like leave the class and never come up ever again.
Yeah,
never
I don't know how
again.
I'm gonna show up next week.
Yeah. Change your name
Not
on Zoom
show up.
every time. Like just change your name and no one's gonna identify you.
That was really funny. But yeah, actually, I have one last question before we close up, which I think is a very timely question as well, which is how do you guys make friends online? Because obviously, like Eric, Mohit, and Michael have like friends, like face-to-face friends.
You have friends as well. What do you mean?
Okay, yeah, but I had to make these friends online, like Menghan. Yeah. So I know a lot of people are doing that as well. Or has to do that as well. And especially for people who are like introverts or who aren't exactly that comfortable talking about talking to people on Zoom or sending a DM and stuff. I remember I thought teachers see the DMs, and then that's why I was so scared to use DMs at first. But then, yeah. So do you guys have any tips? I'll start with Menghan because she's also offshore at the moment.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, as you mentioned, it's really hard for us to make new friends during the time. And since we are not located at Sydney, we cannot like meet fellows in person. So what I did is I attended the events held by uni or other organizations in Australia. And during the events, you can meet many people who may have the same interest or have the same major or want to work in the similar industry as you. So it is a really great chance to exchange your contact information and build your networking with them and make friends with them.
So see, like us, ISLA. So you also joined
Yeah,
ISLA.
like ISLA.
Okay, so many friends, right? We're all friends, right?
As long as you don't share your K-pop song list to me, I'll be a friend.
Why are you targeting me right now? Like it was
because you
song.
spam them.
Song. Okay, but then you consented. You didn't tell me to stop.
Yeah,
so,
I regret it instantly. I was
See?
like, I should have said it. Yeah.
See? So that's a lesson for you too. No, I'm kidding. But noted. Okay. But Eric, now that you're talking, do you have any tips?
Yeah. So I'm obviously, if you've been listening to the podcast, you can tell I'm a outgoing person. I'm not afraid to talk to anyone, basically. So I think one tip, I think it's online study is not that different compared to face-to-face. It's just, but people are becoming more lazy and reluctant to talk to others. So if you want to make friends, you're gonna be the one who's responsible to initiate the conversation. So basically, I would just come and to a breakout room or whatever, to the Zoom. I would just open my camera and open my voice and just say, "Hey, how you doing? My name is Eric. Nice to meet you." And even if they are not comfortable with their camera, they will like still talk to you and they will say hi at least. And you can just basically start from there and maybe just start with the content of the course, and you can talk about something same interest. And next thing you know, you'll be friends. So I think don't be afraid and just be yourself and just talk to others. And people are not that scary, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think also like just keep in mind that everyone is going through the same thing as you. Like everyone wants to make friends and everyone is having a hard time. So just reach out. Michael and Mohit, do you guys have any?
Yeah.
I'll start with Michael first because Mohit had 3 good years of face-to-face classes. So we'll start with Michael first.
Yes. So from last semester, I attended face-to-face classes. So I actually have a lot of friends, both from the teamwork or from the clubs. So I still get in touch with them right now. And since this semester starts, and because it's lockdown, so we have to back to online classes. And in the breakout rooms, actually I made some friends. And just in a few days ago, I had a new friend whose name is actually the same as me, it's Michael. So actually, yeah, who knows? That's happened. Yeah, I really happy to be a friend with him. Yeah, it's quite interesting because we got the same name.
How does that feel though to call someone like the same name? It's like you're like Michael.
Yes. The facilitator just asks a question and just pick up random name and Michael, and we both unmute ourselves and say blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And
always,
even though the facilitator just take over into the breakout rooms, 3 people in one breakout room, and we are in the same breakout room. 2 Michaels in the same breakout
you
room.
guys are meant to be. That is a
yes, yeah, that's
friendship.
why I had friend. Yes.
What are the odds of that happening?
Yeah.
It sounds like some K-drama plot.
Yeah.
Like there's two guys or one guy and girl, like she has similar name and stuff. Like it's waves or whatever.
Yeah, maybe one day. Mohit, to end this discussion on friends.
Oh yes.
Any last tips?
Yeah, of course.
Sorry for the car, by the way.
No, that's totally fine. So no, as Michael mentioned, you know how it's like a conversation starter, right? You have the same name, and the next moment, you know, you're the best of friends, right? I remember I have a similar memory with Michael. Actually, the way we started talking was, "Isn't your birthday on the 13th of November?" This goes way back, and when I told Michael that my birthday was the same as his, he didn't even believe me for like 2 months until he stalked my Facebook profile. Like, okay, now I believe you. Your birthday is the same as mine. And that's how we started bonding. And then we started talking about like table tennis and whatnot. But yeah, sorry, you were saying, Kiana?
Even what, like, people started greeting you on a different day though. So are you sure your birthday is on?
Yeah, he had
so
all these
funny.
doubts. I remember Michael. It's like, no, I don't believe you. It's like there's no chance we had the same birthday. But yeah, no, these are all conversation starters, right? As Eric and Michael mentioned, like, you know, you find out about your interests, have the same name, same birthday. You probably are a clone of the same person. I don't know. But yeah, like on a more serious note, in terms of making friends, I think Eric touched on this as well, was just reaching out to people, not being afraid, taking initiative. Even something as simple as, you know, how subjects have like discussion forums and stuff. You can always introduce yourself and tell people what your goals are for the subject. If there's a group assignment, you know, that always helps out as well. And really participating in online events, like, you know, if you're a part of a club or a society, I know like Kiana, for example, you're really involved with university and just being proactive, attending your events, because I think everyone who is there at a particular online event is really willing to be there and really willing to meet new people. So, you know, everyone comes with the same mentality, same ideologies. So I think, you know, that works out for everyone. That's awesome. So, but yeah, I guess these are just my 2 cents. Yeah, and I know Kiana and Menghan might be a little bit more challenging for you guys as well, since you're offshore. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts were on that as well.
Menghan already shared her tips. Mohit, what do you want to say?
Oh yeah. No. You said that, but no, Kiana, what do you think?
Pretty similar to all of you guys. I really feel like the first step is to just send them a message. After I found out that your hosts don't see DMs, don't be afraid to send them a message because they're also going through the same things as you guys are going through. And yeah, so if you guys are in class, it's week 4, at least for me, and you guys are probably just starting as well. If you're looking for a sign to send someone a DM and make friends, this is your sign. This podcast is your sign. So don't forget to reach out, and who knows, you'll have your new college best friend. Who knows?
I think also part of the reason why people might be hesitant, like, you know, to take initiative in an online class, like for example, if you've been put into a breakout room, the dreaded breakout rooms. I'm sure not everyone is a fan of breakout rooms, but you know, you enter a breakout room, everyone's video is off, everyone's microphone is off. And for example, I choose to take initiative and turn my video on, turn my microphone on and be like, hey guys, how's everyone doing? And then you don't get a response. That might feel a little like awkward, not a little awkward, very awkward. And, you know, then that might like, you know, put you off from taking initiative again in the future. I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, I know. I have a way to deal with that situation, right? Just think about that. Like, no one really knows who you are. So even if you turn on your camera or your like a microphone and you talk and no one responds, like that's okay. Like, cause
they'll never
you're not
see
gonna
you again either.
Yeah, they're probably not gonna see you again in the future. I mean, if they see you, they probably forget who you are. So, like, I don't see what's there to lose. I mean, maybe just
That's
be
true.
open for like 30 seconds for me. I'll do.
You'll never know if you won't try.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe there's other people waiting behind the screen, or like, please someone do it. Please someone do it. I'll follow straight after. I've seen this happening. Yeah, really.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And yeah, just keep your doors open at all times. You know, just keep your doors open. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know why everyone's laughing. That's just a very good metaphor of looking at things.
But don't keep your door open like physically. You know.
Yeah, not your physical doors.
Don't listen to my head.
In your
In your mind.
Physical doors locked at all times.
So what you're saying is keep your doors open at all times, even when you're sleeping. No, that's not what. Okay, everyone listening to this, please don't do that. No, that was a joke. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you guys so much for that discussion. I feel like we covered a lot of things, and 1 hour is not enough, but it's okay because we will be continuing the discussion on our social media accounts as well as in the future episodes. So if you guys want part 2 of this episode with online studying, since I know that it's a very motorcycle, it's a very hot topic. Yeah, just let us know and we'll make it possible. So now that we're reaching to the end of our podcast, I have one last question for you guys, which is basically going to be the trademark of ISLA La Land for our guests. So I want you guys to, I'm gonna go around the room and then I want you guys to share if you could tell your younger self something about like studying in Sydney, being an international student, anything in general. What would that be? And I want you guys to look straight in the camera, like your web camera, whatever, and say it. Like be like, for example, like Kiana, blah 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 blah. I wish you knew this, blah blah blah. Okay, so that's how we're gonna end this episode. Sorry, so we're gonna start with Eric. Start with Eric because I see you laughing over there.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually have a lot to say to my younger self. Like, there's a lot I need to change. But I think most important thing I would say to my younger self is that maybe just try and experience new things and like more, I guess, because during this pandemic, I've been doing a lot of reflections and I realized that I had opportunities to do a lot of things, but I didn't. And when the pandemic hits, like I kind of regret my decisions not to try them out because, you know, when you had the time, you had the chance to do it. Maybe you don't have them again in the future for the foreseeable future. Maybe next 5 or 3 years. You're just kind of gonna, you know. So that's why I'm saying, like, even making friends, you're taking initiatives because you never know. Maybe that person will help you during the next few months or next few years. So I think maybe give yourself more chance and arm yourself and be prepared for opportunities approach because you never know which one's going to be beneficial for you in the future.
Okay, great, nice advice. Who wants to go next? The M gang.
Yeah.
Okay, Michael.
Yeah, go first.
Very good, taking initiative. Like
so to my younger self, firstly, being open-minded all the time, because you do overseas study and you meet people from around the world, and being open-minded, learn the culture, and just be outgoing and get into conversation with them, and you will learn much from them. Understanding is reading is your friend for whole life, and don't leave it. The third one is keep going forward, but don't put too much things on yourself. Yep, that's all I want to tell my younger self.
Thank you. Next, Menghan. Let's end with.
Yeah, if I have a chance to talk to my younger self, I would say don't give up any opportunity that comes your way just because of you're afraid of making mistakes, and do not care too much about what other people think of you. In the past, I always think that I'm not prepared when there is an opportunity comes. I always think that I'm not professional enough or not good enough. I cannot learn anything from the opportunity, so there's no need to try. But actually, that is not true. I think all the things you thought that were difficult when you overcome it are actually not hard at all. So all you need to do is take the first move and try it. And remember, keep your door open.
Yep, that's the most important part.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And lastly, Mohit.
Yeah. So did you mention there was a specific way to address myself by looking into the camera and be like, "Hello, Mohit."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Let's
Hi,
make it as awkward as possible.
12-year-old. 12, is that like too young? 14.
12-year-old.
I don't know, dear young Mohit.
Maybe
Dear
5 years
younger-
ago.
Maybe yesterday, I don't know. Dear younger Mohit, younger than I was today.
Yes.
I don't know. Dear Mohit, I'm just making it too awkward. But yeah, I guess, yeah, as you mentioned, Kiana, earlier, that I've had the opportunity to really be involved in like a proper university experience, in the sense that I was able to attend everything in person. So that really helped to meet new people, engage in all of these new opportunities, and really get into what it's like being a student in university, in an Australian university. So I'm really fortunate for that and really grateful for that. Sorry. But I guess what I would say to my younger self is to take care of yourself as well. Just getting all these internships and being involved in events and just being a very proactive person, that's amazing. Like, don't get me wrong, that is an amazing thing to be doing during a university life, but also you need to take time for yourself, engage in your hobbies, learn new skills outside of your academia and also your professional experience as well. Because if you enter into like, an unforeseen, I guess, timeline such as this, when your routine is kind of taken away from you all of a sudden and you don't know what to do, it can be quite challenging if you haven't really, looked after yourself enough. So I think that's something I would tell my younger self as well. Just kind of taking breaks, taking it easy. And yeah, I guess that's just my 2 cents.
So it's actually really good that you brought up taking care of yourself, because that directly correlates to our episode for next week, which is on mental health and well-being, especially in a time during this pandemic. So both in relation to online studying or just in general, like your mental health and your well-being, which I feel like isn't spoken about a lot, but it's starting to gain. Sorry, the Philippines, very loud. But yeah, as I was saying, what was I saying? Yes, very timely, especially during a time like this, not being spoken a lot, but especially given like quarantine and everything, I feel like it's becoming a even more like spoken about topic. Okay, I'm losing my English. I'm so sorry, but once again, thank you so much to Eric, Michael, Mohit, and Menghan for joining us tonight, as well as to everyone who was watching us live. I see like a couple of names. I see Celine, Nagina, Mark, and a lot of other ISLA ambassadors. So hi guys, thank you so much for supporting us. And along with that, I'd also like to thank Susanna Ng, our program manager, for making all of this possible, as well as to Drago Chantachak, who is working behind the scenes as our tech support. Drago, you are the real MVP.
Yes.
And like I mentioned earlier, to the rest of the ISLA team, thank you so much for making this possible and for this support as well. So, as I mentioned earlier in the very beginning of this episode, we will be having a lot of exciting content coming up from you guys. So we'd really love to hear what you guys want to see, as well as your thoughts, ideas, comments about this episode, feedback. Just let us know through the comments of this video or through the comments of the YouTube or Spotify podcast once they're released later on this week, as well as sending us a message on our social media accounts, such as the International Students for Sydney on Facebook, the page that you're watching this on now. If you haven't liked it yet, give it a like. Yes, it's great. And yeah, once again, this was ISLA La Land signing off for tonight, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is, time of the day that you're watching this. Hope that you're all having a great day so far. And yeah, remember to eat your meals, stay hydrated, and stay safe, everyone. Yes, drink water, very important. And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.